Good evening. This is Maestro with a Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we have a 3v3 on Hades Waste. Our first player is Fritz, playing as the Apothecary, a Space Marine healing hero who can support his units with self-sustain. His first teammate is going to be Hiveminion, playing as Sindri, Trollface, Chaos Sorcerer, a spellcasting control hero. Their next teammate is Ziil, playing as the teleporting Warp Spider Exarch, ranged hero who can teleport and harass. Their opponents, we're going to start off with Gruwski, the Dogski, playing as the Plague Champion, ranged Chaos hero who can heal, repair, and also get melee weapons. We've got another Warp Spider Exarch, this one being played by eM7. And then finally, we are going to have OwNEr, playing as the Lord Commissar, slightly tanky Imperial Guard melee hero. Alright then, first of all, I do want to shout out Indrid for hooking me up with this replay. These days, 3v3s are actually pretty hard to come by unless your name is Indrid, who has loads of them that he doesn't have time to cast. So, he reached out to me and just gave me all the replays that he does not have time to cast. And this is also a map that I've actually never cast before or played before in my entire life. Hades Waste. It's new. To me, at least. Was not in the Elite mod the last time I had played and cast the game, although it does appear to kind of be a 3v3 interpretation of the 1v1 map Quest Heresy. In any case, we are going to have the Sentinel try to harass the Sorcerer, but the Sorcerer will get inside his Chaos Worship and consume a Heretic to heal and get some energy to hit those guardsmen pretty hard with Doom Bolts, scares them off. Sentinel's in here looking for a stomp, does stomp the Chaos Space Marines, and that is going to need to be a full retreat from Hiveminion. But over here we've got the Plague Champion in a little bit of trouble, being chased by the Apothecary. Apothecary trying to cleave that Plague Champion with the Chainsword. Plague Champion does not even care, just looking for other things. Could he go down here in retreat though? We're going to see the Force Melee by the Warp Spider Exarch, but it proves not to be enough. He's got another try. 12 hit points, but does not get it. If anything, could be the Warp Spider Exarch actually going down in retreat. Some shot. Oh no! Heal coming in from the Apothecary does ensure that the Warp Spider Exarch does not go down. Very nicely played there. Here's the Sentinel coming around to harass even more, scare off these Shotgun Scouts from Fritz. Shotgun Scouts will be upgraded to have a Sergeant. It doesn't look like... Oh, well actually, yeah, it doesn't really look like there's a pressing need for any infiltration, but of course it's going to give them grenades as well as just make the squad just a little bit tankier. And ultimately, I do feel this is a losing fight for Fritz. Throws a grenade, but it is dodged, and the Tactical Marines are going to need to retreat too before they start suffering any mono losses of their own. Infiltrated Chaos Space Marines right here. Open fire on the Dire Avengers. Dire Avengers now with a grenade, because they upgraded to the aspect of Avenger, moving in, undoubtedly going for a grenade throw. They go for it. Heretics almost walk right on top of it, and a few of them still get caught. We do see Howling Banshees from eM7. Gonna just be overwhelmed there. They do use the Banshee Shout, which is really called War Shout, to suppress, but then they do just need to retreat out of there. Here's the approach on OwNEr. OwNEr does have to retreat one squad of guardsmen. The second one is here, still going for some repairs on the Sentinel, but we're still seeing the approach from Hiveminion, choosing to be aggressive. He does not have a squad of Heretics nearby, so he's definitely not going to want to assume maybe a Havoc model, but I still don't think that's even worth it for trying to get enough energy to use Doom Bolts. And instead, we're just going to see fully back off by OwNEr. They're going to, the red team conceding the field to the blue team for the moment. Blue team now with the VP lead, 2-1, 438 to 465. And it looks like we're going to see the approach. I was wondering if we were going to see the approach from Fritz on Gruwski right here, but instead, here's where things are really going to happen. Grenade on the Guardian Weapon team does kill one of the backline models. And here are the Banshees getting in on these Dire Avengers, scaring them off to retreat. And it looks like right here, this is Ziil not going for a power bash. Instead, he's choosing to flank and try to pincer Gruwski and whoever's supporting him right here. This is eM7 running towards Gruwski. Gruwski is going to be somewhat entrenched because he is going to have, and he does have the support of these Noise Marines as well. He's got Heretic Worship, he's got these tanky squads in the Chaos Space Marines, the Noise Marines, and then also the Plague Champions supported by Nurgle Heretic Worship, which does heal them if they are in the range of the worship. So blue team actually does choose to bash a little bit. This particular squad of Dire Avengers isolated, gonna have to get forced off before they take any more losses. And I think at this point we are gonna see that flank, that pincer. Oh, but now it looks like Fritz is not helping, so it is just ziil doing this by himself. And I think one squad of Dire Avengers has to go. Another squad of Dire Avengers is in there, apparently way too close. And ultimately this is a losing engagement for whoever I'm targeting right here. ziil. I wasn't targeting him. I was targeting someone else. So Fritz finally decides to join the party, but he's a little late to that party, and it is just going to be a full retreat for him as well. That also should be, yeah, the Apothecary dying, was just about to say, and it happened before I could finish my sentence. So, as we take a look right here, we do have destroyed the power node, probably attempting to decap, but it was power noded again, and power noded again. So Noise Marines will just quickly destroy it again, but before he can start capturing it, it keeps on being re-noted by, well, I'm actually not sure. Oh, it's Fritz who keeps doing that. And the funny thing, I mean, if Fritz can keep doing this, that must mean that if the power node is destroyed this quickly, it must refund the cost of the requisition or something, because that was like 6 node attempts. Anyway, grenades go in from the squad of Catachan Devils that are out on the field for OwNEr. And the Howling Banshees are going to overwhelm the blue team units right here, scares them off, doesn't decide to pursue the Sorcerer any further in retreat, realized that probably wasn't going to get a kill on them, and instead just chooses to go for capturing the requisition point. Red team is now going to start painting the map red, certainly the contested part of the map. Doesn't look like, looks like the blue team will get back their natural victory point. But the red team is starting to establish a victory point lead. They've got 444, more than the blue team, but they also have that double cap. So as for this moment, the victory points are going to tick in favor of the red team. Airborne grenades attempt to go on the Guardian Weapon team. Guardian Weapon team does just get out of there, however. Has to retreat, so it's off the field, but doesn't take any significant damage in the process. So this looks like the blue team will be able to get in and get a decap on the contested victory point. Meanwhile, somebody's under fire down here, which I missed. It does look like we have the power bash attempted by the Noise Marines, and probably working, because it looks like, oh, he didn't finish the decap, didn't have the faith that he could finish the decap with the Plague Champion. I feel like he had time. Oh, but then here's the flank. Do we see some grenades on retreat? No, no grenades. Fleet of foot from the Howling Banshees is not enough, though. And Gruwski actually gets out of there relatively unscathed, in the sense that he only took 1 model loss, and that's even on a squad that only has about 10% of its hit points. So we are going to see this contested power point maybe go back over to the blue team. The red team looking like they are not going to do any power noting shenanigans, but the red team is going to do some generator destroying shenanigans. At this point, they're not even really shenanigans. It looks like this is just a power farm gone. Kind of a very sneaky, flanky bash from OwNEr right here, courtesy of his Catachans, his Guardsmen, and his Sentinel. But we are going to see grenades go in on the Tactical Marines. 2 grenades, 2 Tactical Marines. That's what I call value. Banshees are going to start getting into range with the Dreadnought. This is still not exactly a great fight for the Banshees, and the Banshees, these are aspect of fleetness Banshees, so they don't have the heavy melee spear, which means their damage to a vehicle is definitely going to be lessened. It's not non-existent. They do some very minor damage, but not as much as if they did have that Executioner spear or Executioner weapon. Instead has the Exarch mirror swords. And amazingly, this Dreadnought will just get out of here. There's nothing to snare it. There's not really any significant anti-vehicle chasing it down. Just these Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, which do some light anti-vehicle damage, especially with the way that they have been changed so that the Aspiring Champion does have a plasma gun instead of a Inferno Bolter. Plasma gun doing a bit more anti-vehicle damage than an Inferno Bolter. So we're going to see another full Generator Bash here. There's just so much damage, and especially damage that is good against buildings, particularly in the form of the Noise Marines, but also the Guardian Weapon team right here equipped with the Bright Lance. Looks like we're going to see attempted counter bash by the blue team, and it looks like this will be another full Generator Bash as well, with the Autocannon Dreadnought going to finish it off. Grenade goes in on the Havocs, does kill the lead Havoc model, which will require it to reset up. In fact, we have double Autocannon Havocs. This is actually not good for this Dire Avenger squad. I feel like the Dire Avengers, yeah, I was going to say they could and should go down. Meanwhile, we are going to have Gruwski coming in through middle, but I feel like he might again be pincered and overwhelmed. Here is a little bit of support from OwNEr, and Gruwski is actually doing okay. Here is a squad of Howling Banshees with the aspect of strength, but they decide to get back on out of there. Oh my. Something happened right here. It looks like it was a Dark's Flame. Killed quite a few guardsmen, but does not look like it actually took out a squad. But at some point, I did miss the Catachan Devils for OwNEr being killed. Doom Bolts are going to go in, do some pretty good damage, but without, I don't think either of these squads, none of these squads suffered a mono loss, which means that as long as they stay inside the Heretic worship, they will be able to just heal up from all the damage that they just took without suffering any economic loss. Red team needs to capture their natural VP back. Instead, they're going for a decap on the blue team's natural, and this is attempted kill by the Stormtroopers on the Chaos Dreadnought. Can they make it happen? They just have a little bit more, and there's also the approach for the Sentinel. Sentinel should shoot one more missile, and that does finish it off. Sentinel looks like it is going to trade its life, but that's a winning trade any day. Killing a Dreadnought with a Sentinel, I'll take that one. Assault Cannon Barrage goes in, ultimately misses everything because there is that just timely retreat. Grenade misses as well, so again, Gruwski getting out of here without really suffering much in terms of losses. Looks like he does have one mono loss on this squad of Chaos Space Marines. eM7 and OwNEr, on the other hand, definitely suffering a little bit more in terms of their army losing some units. Although, again, though, I did say OwNEr. In OwNEr's case, there was, I feel, a worthwhile trade. The red team also teching up to tier 3 faster than the blue team, and I think part of that has to do with the early power bashes they were getting earlier than the blue team's power bashes, especially courtesy of Gruwski's Noise Marines. So the Assault Cannon Dreadnought is here. In my opinion, great upgrade, always has been, particularly in 3v3, for that reason of you just get so much range damage on such a tanky platform, and it just becomes such a mainline unit. Reapers here, before I had seen it but didn't mention it, Reapers had dodged a grenade, and the blue team will stay out on the field here. Can they threaten either some kind of bash on this power farm or even a decap on the red team's natural? We do see these sneaky Stormtroopers probably going for, they could either go for a decap or a bash. Looks like they will choose the decap, which I'm actually not sure which one would be better. But either way, they will get the decap. It hasn't been sniffed out yet since they are infiltrated, but now that they are done decapping, they do have to uninfiltrate for the full cap. So it does look like ziil is going to choose to focus on the power at the moment. Meanwhile, we're now starting to see a push from the blue team through the middle. We do have the Demon Armor from Hiveminion Sorcerer. Demon Armor allowing you to put down a Demonic Shield. And look at this Assault Cannon Barrage on the Bright Lances. Does not actually kill either one of them, but does put both of them at pretty low health. And now the Bright Lances will reset up, but they don't have the Dreadnought as a target because it is using this to block the line of sight. It was going around the other way, went through the wall, taking advantage of that. and it's still able to shoot without being targeted by the Bright Lance. The Scout's going ahead a little too far, though. They're walking into double Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, and that will be it for the Scouts. I don't know what just happened there. That really should not have happened. I mean, the best I can maybe say is maybe wanted to get some bashing on those generators, but then just didn't respond soon enough, and the Sorcerer goes down as well from the approach of this Seer Council squad. Meanwhile, I think we're going to have the Apothecary go down as well, not respecting the massive amount of range damage that we have coming out from Gruwski at the moment between double Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, and he has kept the Plague Champion with the standard bolter. Now, I say standard because it's standard for him, but the truth is his bolter isn't exactly standard. It also does damage over time, which most bolters in this game don't do, and damage over time is good at dealing with units that are retreating. Warp Spider Exarch from eM7 is all alone here. Or is he? Here's the support. Here comes the Bright Lance. Here comes Gruwski's extremely powerful range blob. Approach by the Heretics. Try to get into melee, see if they can kill the Bright Lance, but they will have to back off because they don't want to walk into the Heretics from Gruwski. So red team at least going to keep it at a stalemate in the middle. Blue team still has the contested victory point. VP numbers are actually pretty even at 319 to 318, just now ticking in favor of the blue team. Blue team, though, they got a decap on the red team's natural, attempting a full cap, but they aren't able to get it. Here comes Gruwski again with that really powerful range blob. Just 3 units in his range blob, but just so much damage from fully upgraded Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, now level 3, Plague Champion level 4. And I think this is going to be a game where he might be content to just keep the Plague Champion with that starting bolter. At least for now. There could be some situations later, like he has to deal with Terminators, where he might want to go different weapon. Here is the Dreadnought again, has been upgraded with Dark Age of technology to give it more health. It improves the inspiration allies receive from the skills. Bright Lance will retarget it, but it does manage to walk away from the Bright Lance, and I do feel that this Dreadnought is doing quite a bit. Here is an Eldritch Storm, but I'm not sure what impact that Eldritch Storm really had. We also do see, I believe that was the phase shift, from the phase armor from the Warp Spider Exarch. And so the Dreadnought managed to back off, so at that point the Guardian Weapon team was just being targeted by the Terminators as well as the Apothecary. Terminators are going to be supported from the advanced healing ability from the Apothecary. That makes them so hard to kill, so hard to get a model loss on them, because Terminators are already so tanky, and they just get that healing over time from the Apothecary. Now, the Great Unclean One is here, and although it's very much isolated, it's also against a lot of units that do not do great damage to it. It also doesn't help that neither of these Havocs are firing on it and don't have it in its firing arc, because that would definitely increase the pressure that would be put against this Great Unclean One. Meanwhile, over here, I didn't realize we already have a Baneblade out from OwNEr. And with that push with the Baneblade, looks like he's going to be able to get the natural victory point for the blue team. Meanwhile, on this side, the Great Unclean One does finally decide to move out of there. Dreadnought still just putting so much pressure in here. Are we going to see another Assault Cannon Barrage? No, we're just going to see the Bright Lance straight up dying. Assault Cannon Barrage doesn't even do anything. Probably meant to hit the Bright Lance and was already dead by the time he actually got in range to use the ability. So Fritz obviously smartly going for a new squad of scouts because he needs that to support his Dreadnought. His Dreadnought has already put in quite a bit of work, but for it to keep putting in work, he's going to need repairs for it. Meanwhile, on this side, we've got a duel between the Baneblade and the Land Raider Phobos. Warp Spider Exarch goes down trying to use the phase armor. A long time ago, the Warp Spider Exarch himself, I'm pretty sure, was protected during the phase shift ability, but now that he isn't, that ability is quite a bit more risky, and we're seeing the Warp Spider Exarch die. They're trying to aggressively use phase shift. Grenade's going to go in on the Guardsman, and we are seeing multi-laser turrets that are also going to be taken down as well. Land Raider Phobos is approaching. Land Raider Phobos doesn't have as much health as the Baneblade, but I'm pretty sure it does more AV damage with those last cannons. Demolisher Cannon goes in, knocks down some Dire Avengers, but here comes the Great Unclean One as well. It's deciding to approach the Land Raider Phobos. Squad of Heretics going to suppress the Chaos Space Marines. But I think finally we do have that Plague Fist upgrade. Here's an Autarch going to come in to knock more things down. Autarch comes in. She's already infected by the Great Unclean One, but the Great Unclean One could also be going down as well. 300 hit points. And being targeted by las cannons. Land Raider Phobos is backing off. One more las cannon burst would have finished the Great Unclean One, but I think the Great Unclean One gets out of there. Meanwhile, with the Land Raider Phobos taking damage, the Baneblade is moving back in. Baneblade has more health, but Phobos does more damage. Demolisher Cannon Shot misses. Standard Cannon Shot does not. 323 hit points left on this Phobos. Only the Commissar chasing after it. He's trying to upgrade to the Fist of Brachus. Doesn't have it yet. So Commissar now only with the Fist of Brachus. That's going to be tough to just only have the Fist of Brachus because he is... I mean, look at how low the Commissar's hit points actually are for a melee here. Only 661. Going to need an armor upgrade, I think, to have him really last much longer in melee. Baneblade is right here, getting repairs from Double Plasma Guardsman. Demolisher Cannon Shot goes in, but another miss for that Demolisher Cannon. So trying to push in again to see if he can get the cap on the blue team's natural victory point. He's been able to deny red team from getting their own cap on it, but maybe wants to get his own cap on it. Red team, meanwhile, going to decap the contested victory point. Seer Council here, they will get the decap. Here is that Assault Cannon Barrage. Again, another clean miss on the Assault Cannon Barrage. Not sure if he was going for the Seer Council or the Bright Lance there. Starts taking damage from the Bright Lance, so he moves it back. Seer Council in a bit of trouble. Only 700 hit points. They do have 4 models, though. And here is that Baneblade. Guardsmen are being suppressed by the Howling Banshees who are in here. The Land Raider Phobos starting to move in. It's being repaired by Dire Avengers of all things. And it might be time when we start to see one of these going down. They're both supported by repairs, but I mean, look at the team play of ziil repairing Hiveminions, Land Raider Phobos. Oh my god, the Land Raider Phobos trying to get into melee range. We're even seeing the Reaper Barrage going in on the Baneblade. Is that going to be the end of the Baneblade, or will it be the end of the Land Raider Phobos? It's the Phobos that stays alive, and the Baneblade that goes down, as well as the Commissar going down as well. Gets out of there with just barely any hit points. No progress yet on the middle VP. OwNEr says he lost everything. And we still have this Dreadnought alive. And look at what he's doing. He's keeping it... This is really like max range for the Dreadnought, where it can shoot from so far on whatever is capping the victory point. That is such long range, and that's why I often just really just stress how strong I feel that Assault Cannon upgrade is for the Dreadnought, especially in a team game. It actually does so well. I mean, the damage stat isn't actually that huge. It's good, but it's just that it can do it from such long range and on such a tanky platform that's not easily deterred. Blastmaster Shot will go in. Hits the Sorcerer. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage to him, so it's good that he kind of sniffed that out. One model from the Havocs will get hooked and killed. Not huge value from that hook, but, I mean, it's not no value either. Meanwhile, Fire Prism's now out for eM7, going to make the approach harder for the blue team. Fire Prisms with their rather extreme range. If I talked about how long the range is for the Dreadnought, oh man, is the range for the Fire Prism long. Meanwhile, attempted decap by this squad of Dire Avengers, but it does not look like they will actually get it. Bunker for OwNEr looks like it has been recapped or been captured by ziil. You can tell by that, definitely that fancy purple color, which matches ziil's army. Howling Banshees trying to get into melee with the Great Unclean One. They actually would do plenty of damage, but they just get overwhelmed. Tome of Subjugation on the Chaos Space Marines. Now that's going to do some pretty good damage on the Great Unclean One. So they will get tied up, and finally Tome of Subjugation does end. Chaos Space Marines approaching. They will definitely... Oh, no. Are they going to finish off the Havoc Squad? Yes, they will. God, just the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, especially with that new plasma gun that they get on the Aspiring Champion, just do so much damage. I mean, the truth is they actually always did. They've always been such a powerful squad. Certainly an expensive one, though. But usually in team games, you can afford to get 2 Tzeentch Chaos Space Marine squads fully upgraded, where, for example, in 1v1 games, that's a lot harder to do, a lot harder to justify that kind of resource investment. So, Leman Russ now out on the field for OwNEr. He doesn't actually even have repairs for it. He's just got the Castricans out on the field. No, that's a regular squad of guardsmen, so he does have repairs for it. And I think there's still a 6-man guardsman squad, a vanilla guardsman squad. So we're going to see a revive on the Commissar by the Warp Spider Exarch. Can shoot and revive at the same time. That will get the Warp Spider Exarch to level 5, fully upgraded with the Entangling Web, Enhanced Warp Generator, and the improved targeters. Ziil with that phase armor, which I don't feel has gotten that much value yet. Red team now about to threaten certainly a double cap, a 2-0, and we're even going to see if they can try to threaten the triple. I think with this approach from the Land Raider Phobos and everything else, I don't think these Dire Avengers can stay here much longer. They do have quite a bit of health, actually, when fully upgraded at level 4. But they just can't stay in against a force this big. They will actually die. Meanwhile, in here, we do have now double fire prisms. Double fire prisms is honestly so hard to approach. We do have the double predators, but look at these double predators already taking so much damage. Fire prism shots and the blastmaster shot, that's already one predator that really can't afford to take another shot, otherwise it will go down. The second predator also taking a lot of damage. And these are predators upgraded with extra armor, so they're about as tanky as they're going to get. There is an assault cannon barrage from the Dreadnought, but I feel the Dreadnought, it's been such a hero, it's done so much, but now it's also so far forward. There is the phase shift from the Warp Spider Exarch, but he is vulnerable during this time. He can be damaged. And this is something that used to not be the case. He used to just be phase shifted along with everything else. He's there. Can he teleport out of there or retreat? He gets knocked down and he dies. And we're going to see both one Fire Prism and one Predator go down. Meanwhile, on this side, the blue team has pushed forward to the red team's natural victory point, and they will get that cap. So we're seeing that demon armor upgrade from the Sorcerer. I think in another cast I said that this wasn't this common, but you know, I'm seeing it more and more often. I would say that certainly, since the Sorcerer was my main hero, definitely in my total experience of playing the Sorcerer, the demon armor was the armor warrior that I definitely bought the least by far. However, that's not to say that I don't feel it doesn't have a purpose. I actually feel in team games, I feel it could actually be a very, very powerful choice in team games. So Power Bash is going to happen by the red team on the blue team's natural power. Meanwhile, blue team trying to hold on to the natural victory point for the red team, but the Castricans are going to get it back for the red team, or at least get the decap. Leman Russ for OwNEr. Leman Russ scaring off those Banshees. So actually now a 2-1 cap for the red team again. Castricans will get knocked over by the Reaper's barrage.
Adding support structure.
So red team really just going all in on trying to... They're even getting a decap. They weren't actually able to complete a decap on the power node because it was noded up, and they kind of just dropped their micro on destroying that again. Actually did not complete the decap on the requisition point, so not a whole lot achieved by pushing in that far with the Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines beyond just the generators that were destroyed. Here comes the Land Raider Phobos now moving out from the top of the map and choosing to now try to contest things in the middle, since this Land Raider Phobos really has been, I would say, the key unit for, well, actually, I would say it's the key unit, it was the key unit at the top side of the map for the blue team. Yeah. Whereas the key unit on the bottom side of the map has been the Dreadnought, which is not in play at the moment. So it's really just the Land Raider Phobos. Land Raider Phobos could be in a little bit of trouble, though. It's going to start taking damage from both a Blastmaster Noise Marine as well as a Tzeentch Dreadnought. It's still got enough hit points. It's going to have some repairs soon if the Dire Avengers decide to help it out. But here's the Avatar of Cain coming in for a flank. There is also a Fire Prism getting some shots on it, but I don't think it had the anti-vehicle mode enabled, which I'm afraid that's something I don't remember the exact names for it. We've got another Fire Prism from ziil getting way too close. This Fire Prism should not be anywhere near this close to this Leman Russ, which will just start taking some point-blank shots, and there's no way this Fire Prism does not gets out of here alive. One more shot from the Leman Russ, and that's it. So that was a big waste on that Fire Prism. Fire Prism, normally, the biggest advantage of the Fire Prism is the extreme range of that unit, so it should always be positioned very, very far back, especially because compared to any actual tank, it will absolutely just straight up lose head-to-head if you just put them in firing range of each other. But the whole point of the Fire Prism is that it's not supposed to strictly be a regular tank. It's supposed to be an artillery unit that you keep at extreme distance because it outranges every actual tank in the game. Avatar of Cain, meanwhile, is going down so low, 100 hit points. Oh my god, it's so close. 15, 16, 17 does get out alive. This Fire Prism now being threatened. The Leman Russ. This particular Leman Russ does have a Vanquisher cannon. OwNEr does have another Leman Russ that's still rocking the default battle cannon, which is still very functional, but the battle cannon, the Vanquisher cannon rather, does give you enhanced anti-vehicle capabilities. Luckily, even with a Vanquisher, you do still keep the bolters on the sponsons, which does still enable it to do some reasonable anti-infantry damage. Both Leman Russes being committed to top, and not entirely sure why, actually. Neither one is in huge need of repairs. One is in need of some minor repairs. But at some point, the red team needs to start making a play for one of the victory points. Obviously, it is a 2-to-1 cap in favor of the blue team. Blue team doesn't have as many victory points. Oh, I guess that's probably a repair bunker right here, which is probably just what he wanted. And it's still eM7 who does have a Fire Prism alive and generally keeping them at longer range. So we do see some entrenched units from the blue team behind 3 energy shields. 3 energy shields. Energy shields giving perfect cover, which means any range damage that you try to deal to the units behind them will actually be completely negated. Eventually, the part of how you counter it is that eventually the energy shield can be destroyed. But right now we just see, look at all the damage that they are tanking or not taking. So right now, the red team hasn't been able to make an approach. They've been putting some damage on the energy shields, knocking down some of these units, but they haven't been able to take them out yet. One energy shield was taken down, so we see the Dire Avengers repositioning behind the energy shield behind it. Another phase shift from ziil's Warp Spider Exarch, but he's just getting focused down, so I don't really agree with that. So, I mean, that ability used to be extremely powerful. Now it used to also be so powerful to the point that it was cheesy. But anyway, we do see an Apothecary go down. Dreadnought is still doing a lot of work. It's been alive for so long. It's done so much. It is a veteran of these engagements. Meanwhile, Lascannon Predator for Hiveminion trying to contest these Leman Russes. One Leman Russ taking some right lance shots, but not taking too much damage. Another Leman Russ nearly dead, but here is an Imperial Abyss on top of the Terminators as well as the Chaos Predators. Doesn't look like that Imperial Abyss got too much done. But the Dreadnought, sadly, finally does go down. It was a hero and will be remembered, but it is dead. We're seeing some other Dreadnoughts go down. Chaos Dreadnought went down for Gruwski. And we're going to see an Eldritch. Eldritch does kill something. It does kill, but it looks like it didn't actually even hit the Land Raider Phobos. So the Land Raider Phobos is able to get 1 kill on a Fire Prism. Doesn't look like it's targeting the other one, even though that actually would be a pretty easy kill. I feel like there are a lot of things that it could do. I don't think it would have good luck with the Leman Russ. Actually, now the Chaos Predator is in quite a bit of trouble. It's in a position where it could be being chased down by 2 tanks, one with a Vanquisher and the Fire Prism. I don't know if the Land Raider Phobos is done. That's it. Does spin out of control and does explode there for a nice 120 red for whoever killed it. And its husk still lying out there on the field while this Fire Prism continues to take shots. Chaos Shrine of Tzeentch shot out one Doom Bolt, but won't achieve much more. Lascannon Devastator out for Fritz is going to start slowing the approach of this Great Unclean One, but it won't be enough, because here is the approach from the level 4 Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines, who are just going to do massive damage. And the Noise Marines will be able to get the decap for the red team. Blue team actually held that double cap for a while and had a VP lead. VP lead temporarily goes to them, but will pretty quickly go back into the hands of the red team, who are actually about to get a triple cap, which actually does make it seem like the red team could be in a position to win this game. We are going to see the approach by the blue team right here, trying to get their natural victory point, but they have to go. They have to find a way to capture through three vehicles. Sorcerer will capture while infiltrated under worship, so actually he can't even really be targeted while he is decapping, but once he does get the cap, he can be targeted. Sorcerer now fully upgraded, Rod of Warpfire, Demon Armor, and the Tome of Subjugation. We've seen some uses of the Tome of Subjugation so far. Now the Seer Council look incredibly overwhelmed by the infantry from the blue team, but then I realize the red team has all that armor support, and all this infantry from the blue team does not actually do much to the Leman Russes or the Fire Prisms, and it's actually the blue team infantry getting shredded, while the vehicles from the red team are just A-okay. Heretics starting to approach with only 6 out of 8 models, but they realize they're not going to achieve much. They're trying to get out of there. We do have an autocannon Havoc still putting in more damage on the Leman Russ. Actually did a fair amount of damage on the Leman Russ, but the Leman Russ is just going to go back to the bunker. And look at this. We have a third Leman Russ supported by repairs from the bunker. Blue team actually now has a double cap because they actually capped the red team's natural using this Terminator call-in. And at least for the moment, they can actually stay here and keep this, because anyone who tries to get onto the point will actually just be shredded by the Terminators. But the Terminators are also going to start taking a lot of damage. They are inside the Demon Shield, but, I mean, at some point, the thing is, if the Terminators leave, then the red team can just take back the point. So I think the Terminators, they're low on hit points. I think they're just hard committing. Just trying to win the game here, but I don't know if it's enough. One lone Chaos Terminator gonna go down very, very soon. And there it is. So Hiveminion trying to tell Fritz to capture mid instead of fighting, because the Terminators, they could at least get a decap here. Actually commits a teleport in to get a decap. Here's going to be an Eldritch. Who is that Eldritch from? It looks like it must be from Ziil, but it knocked Fritz off the point, so he's not getting the decap anymore. So a little bit of anti-synergy there. Meanwhile, these double Tzeentch Chaos Space Marines are being tied up by both the Seer Council as well as the Banshees, so they aren't able to put in a lot of damage against the Terminators, who are themselves backing off. One Terminator model just went down, and the red team now trying to recap the contested victory point with just a squad of Dire Avengers. We do have a subjugated squad of Seer Council running away, actually trying to chase the Fire Prism, but now the control has been returned to the Eldar player. And it doesn't look like blue team is able to get in here to get the decap. They're just being pushed off. They can't get through. I think especially the effect of the double Fire Prisms proven to be way too much, as well as especially these triple Leman Russes, my god. And that will be the game. Quite a game to have here, and definitely quite a map. I mean, look at what the map looks like when it's all over. And that really is just some classic Dawn of War 2 action. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.